This is going to be a comprehensive list of the top 6 banks, but in no particular order, because I think each of those banks offer different types of benefits, and some of those benefits may fit somebody better than somebody else. With the increased competition between online and traditional banks, the benefits they're willing to offer has really spiked. There was a few must-haves for these 6 banks. One was obviously that it had to be FDIC insured, it had to have good rates, low to no fees, and be available throughout the USA. So without any further ado, let's hop directly into our first bank, which is going to be Ally's online bank. Ally has a 4.35 APY savings account, and on its checking account, when you have less than 15K in your account, you get 0.1 APY, and if you have more than 15K, you get up to 0.25 APY in your checking account. When it comes to the fees of Ally's banking, there's virtually no fees, except for some excessive things like international wires. Like all banks, it does come with a few restrictions, one of them being that there's a $10 withdrawal limit from your high yield savings account. If you go over 10 withdrawals, there's a $10 fee for every withdrawal above that. And there's quite a few benefits to having this bank account. First and foremost, there is no monthly maintenance fees and there's no minimum balance requirements. Another major benefit of Ally's bank account is the recurring transfers. So if you get paid on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, you can automate your transfers into your savings accounts or to other places that you desire the money to go. I find this to be a really nice feature when you want to automate things like investments or savings. Because when it comes to things like that, the more automated, the more seamless, the better it is and the easier it is for you. This is also a feature that some people may really like, but I think if you're really disciplined with your money, it may not be that beneficial to you. But it does something called surprise savings. Ally's surprise savings feature will analyze your checking and your savings account and automatically take money from your checking account into your savings account based on your cost or spending habits. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that because if I leave money in my checking account, there's usually a good reason, but I think for a lot of people you could really like that. I guess just make sure you're looking at your bank account before you make a big purchase, which I guess is something you should probably be doing anyways. And one of the biggest and most major benefits that a lot of people really love is something they call savings buckets. So within your savings account, you can allocate savings account to different areas, can say a house or a car. It's not actually separating it into anything different. It's all still under one umbrella in your savings account, but it's a really good way to visually see where your money's going and why you're saving that money. The app interface of Ally is really smooth and it offers a ton of features. Features like checking balances, finding ATMs, making wire transfers, transferring funds between accounts. You can do check deposits. It does allow you to use Zelle among other things. Most of these online banks will have pretty robust online access and ability to do everything from your computer. With that said, Ally Bank does seem to have some problems with its customer service. There is a supposed 24/7 hour support, but there's no people available. For some online banks do seem to struggle with customer service, and Ally does not seem to be an exception to that rule. I think if you're using Ally for very simple things, it does seem to work really well, but I've heard that if you have more complex issues, it can be really difficult to get a hold of somebody and solve your issues. When it comes to ATMs and withdrawing from your account from Ally Bank, there is no charge for any Allpoint ATMs in the US, and they will reimburse you up to $10 for all the other ATM charges you get from other ATMs throughout the USA. However, one of the major issues I see with Ally Bank is that they do not accept cash, which I can see for a lot of people that's not that big of a deal because you probably don't deal with any cash, but if you are somebody who deals in cash heavily, this is definitely going to not be a bank for you. So overall, I think if you're someone who doesn't deal in a lot of cash and you like an online experience of a bank, then this is going to be a really good banking option for you that offers a high yield savings account with minimal fees. I think if nothing else, Ally is a good place to just park your emergency fund in its high yield savings account, although there is higher savings accounts out there that you can find. Alright, so let's take it to the second bank on this list, which is going to be the Charles Schwab Bank. Charles Schwab has a pretty low savings account rate at 0.48. However, its checking account does have a pretty decent rate at 0.45. There's no monthly service fee and there is no monthly minimum balance. Schwab does not charge overdraft fees, although if you have a brokerage account with them, they may pull cash from that account to supply your investor's checking account if you do overdraft. Like I said with Ally before, cash can also not be deposited into this account. You have to convert cash either into a check or a money order and then transfer it into your account, which can be very annoying. Another restriction with Schwab that I find that can be quite annoying is that they do hold all transfers from external accounts for up to 4 days. With that said, if you do hold a brokerage at Schwab and you use their checking account, the money from your checking account into your brokerage can be transferred instantaneously and you can trade same day. With that said, one of the most major benefits of banking in a bank like Schwab is because it's brokerage. Schwab is a really excellent brokerage, and I don't really see much reason to bank there unless you're going to have a brokerage. But the brokerage at Schwab is really good and the app interface around it is really good and seamless as well. One of my personal favorite things about Schwab is is it's something called slices. What slices is you can select up to 30 stocks on the market, divvy those up among a certain portion that you decide to invest. Say you want to invest $100 into 20 different stocks, it'll take $5 and invest that into each individual stock at a percentage. This is pretty similar to what accounts like Robinhood do, or even cryptocurrencies, where when you buy percentages of stocks, kind of like you can create your own little individual mutual fund. One of my favorite things about this bank in particular is its customer service. Whenever I've had a problem with this bank, I've had to give them a call. Every time I have called them, I have had a really nice, really good person on the line that was able to solve my problem extremely quick. I think every time I've had a problem, the problem has been solved within less than 5 minutes. The other major benefits, and one of the reasons why you should almost always have an account like this, is that there is no ATM fees and no foreign transaction fees, which makes this a really good partner with an online bank, because you can transfer money from your online bank to Schwab, and then you can withdraw that account money from Schwab for free, making it one of the best travel banks. If you're looking for fancy features or a high yield savings account, this is definitely not going to be the bank for you. If for a really good brokerage, then it definitely is going to be. Alright, so let's go to our third bank, which is going to be SoFi Online Bank. SoFi is an online bank only, so there is no physical locations. SoFi has a 4.6 APY high yield savings account, and its checking account offers a 0.5 APY. When it comes to fees, there are no monthly maintenance fees, and there's no minimum balance requirements. And it also charges you no ATM fees at select ATMs. With SoFi, there is some restrictions, one being that on your high yield savings account, you can only withdraw 6 times per month. SoFi does have a 25-day evaluation period, and in that evaluation period, you either have to deposit $5,000 every 25-day period, or have direct deposit set up. Otherwise, you will not get the 4.6 APY. Instead, it drops down all the way to 1.2 APY. That same evaluation period is used for your sign-up bonus, because when you set up direct deposit, within 25 days of that direct deposit being set up, if you deposit more than $5,000, you can get a $300 bonus. If you deposit less than that, you still get a $50 bonus. Similar to Ally Bank, SoFi does offer something called vaults, which is the exact same thing, where you can visually separate money into different accounts to where you're trying to save for things like a car or a house. Another major benefit that I know a lot of people really love, including myself, is that you get sent money up to 2 days early on your paychecks. Because I work for myself, I used to transfer money on Friday and I would get it on Monday when I banked at my local credit union. But ever since switching to SoFi, I not only get my money early, but I get it on the Wednesday before the money is even sent. A lot of that is because of the payroll system my company uses, but I won't go into that. But basically, if your company uses a large payroll system, you're gonna get paid early. And I've found that not only is that hold true for my direct deposits, but I also find that holds true for almost any transfer. If I transfer money from one account to SoFi, I tend to get it extremely fast, whereas my old accounts sometimes takes up to 4 days at Schwab, and it would take up to 4 days at my local credit union as well. Another notable thing that you may be interested in is that SoFi does offer a credit card, which is unlimited 2% cash back on all purchases. Although I think there is better credit cards out there, I think it is worth looking into. When it comes to the app interface of SoFi, I've been extremely impressed at how easy and seamless it is. Whether I'm transferring money between my accounts or paying a bill or setting up a new bill, it's been extremely easy to do everything with SoFi. As far as the customer service goes at SoFi, I've heard a lot of mixed reviews. Since SoFi is an online bank, it is 24/7 customer service, but since it is only online, there is no physical locations you can go to. So again, if you want that and you need that, then it's definitely not going to be the bank for you. Another really cool benefit of SoFi is that it's insured up to $2 million of FDIC insurance. The way that it does this is that it disperses $250,000 to different bank accounts, but it is a cool program that a lot of smaller banks will not offer. Similar to Ally Bank, SoFi does use the all-point ATM system, and if you're using one of those all-point ATMs, there is no fees, but if you're using a different ATM besides that, there will be. If you're wondering what the all-point ATM system is, it is a surge-free cash withdrawal system. Most of these ATMs you can find at CVS or Walgreens or 7-Elevens or stores similar to that. With like a quick Google search, you can find where all-point ATMs are, and there's usually pretty close to you if you live in any sort of city. Overall, SoFi is a really excellent online bank, I think, and it's actually my preferred bank of choice. I think SoFi and Ally are both extremely similar banks, but I think SoFi does beat it out a bit with just offering higher rate. Alright, let's go to our next bank, which is traditionally probably what you think of as a credit card company, which is Capital One. Capital One's checking account does have a 0.1 APY. Capital One does offer a 4.35 APY high yield savings account. There are no fees to keep, open, or use your Capital One 360 account, and no foreign transaction fees. There is fees like things for a cashier's check or an outgoing wire. There's no overdraft fees, although they may auto decline something if you don't have enough money in your account, or they withdraw money from your savings account to cover the funds. If a transaction is approved, approved and it does take you below zero, there still will not be any fees. There are some restrictions around the high yield savings account where you cannot withdraw more than 6 times, similar to what SoFi does. Other than that, there are not many restrictions when it comes to this account. Capital One does offer branches and cafes where you can visit people in person and get help with your account. Some of the benefits of using the Capital One 360 bank account is that you can use Zelle, there is no overdraft fees. And similar to SoFi, you can get paid up to 2 days early. If you've ever had a credit card with Capital One, you know that the app is pretty seamless and very smooth. I think overall Capital One has similar customer service to what most online banks offer, but they do also have these branches or cafes where you can go get help. So the customer service on an overall basis seems to be really solid. And since Capital One does have more of an online feel, their app interface and their online tools do seem to work really seamlessly. And when it comes to ATMs, there is a similar story to where you can add cash to your account, but you have to go to a CVS or a Walgreens. So Capital One does have a set amount of ATMs that you can use where you can withdraw cash for free, but again, there are certain ATMs that will charge you. Unlike Ally and SoFi, Capital One also accepts MoneyPass ATMs, as well as the Allpoint ATMs, offering you more locations than those other banks. Overall, I think Capital One's a really good bank to choose. Although I do feel like there's other banks out there that do outcompete it. I think Ally and SoFi are both probably better banks to use. But with that said, if you do a lot of credit card use with Capital One already, it might be a nice addition to have, especially the high yield savings account where it's already there, you already have an account, you already have a reputation built with the Capital One community. So if you're already in the Capital One sphere, then I would recommend this account. Which brings me to our 5th bank, which is Discover. Discover is another traditionally credit card company. Discover does offer a high yield savings account with 4.35% APY. And in Discover's checking account, it does something interesting that I have not seen before, which is kind of similar to what credit cards do. So on the first $3,000 that you spend on your Discover checking account, it gives you 1% cash back. So I think if you're not a big spender and you don't keep a lot of money in your checking account, that could be a pretty advantageous benefit to have. There is virtually no fees associated with this, like no monthly maintenance fees and no monthly minimums and no insufficient funds fees. As far as restriction goes, there's not too many major restrictions, except for with the high yield savings account, there is a 6 withdrawal limit. Similar to SoFi, you can get your paychecks up to 2 days early when you set up direct deposit through Discover. Discover also allows you to use Zelle, which I find to be a really convenient tool. I don't personally bank with Discover, but I do use credit cards with Discover, and I've always been very happy with the app and the interface they have. But Discover is traditionally online only. I think that Discover could definitely be a good option for somebody, especially if you already have several Discover cards, like credit cards, like the Discover It card. But I think in most scenarios, there's other banks that are a little better, and I think Discover would probably be the bottom of the list for me. But it's like the high yield savings account that Capital One, Amex, and Discover all have. It's like I said before, if you bank with these companies already and you have credit cards with them, you could consider doing a checking account with them because you're already there and you have a reputation built with this company. So without further ado, let's move on to our 6th and final bank, which is going to be CIT Bank. If you're anything like me, you have not heard of CIT Bank until the recent years. It's been making some noise because of its high yield savings accounts, like its current high yield savings account, like 5.05 APY. In its checking account, it also offers 0.1 APY up to 25,000, and then once you surpass 25,000 in your account, it offers you 0.25% APY. It should be noted that CIT Bank is not to be confused with Citibank, because CIT Bank is an online only bank. There is no monthly maintenance or account opening fees associated with CIT. Like the other online banks only, there's very few fees associated with this bank in general. There's a few more restrictions when it comes to this than some of these other banks, because to get the 5.05 APY, you have to hold a minimum balance of at least $5,000, and also to open the high yield savings account, you have to have a minimum deposit of $100. Although there's no fees associated with it, you just need that much money minimum. From what I can tell, the biggest drawback in CIT Bank is that it's mostly just a high yield savings account with very few extra added benefits. And from what I could tell, the app interface and the customer support are fairly poor, because on their website there's no live chat, just an FAQ. Another downside of this bank is that you cannot deposit cash. CIT will cover you up to $30 in ATM fees, but above and beyond that, it will not cover. I think overall the only reason that CIT Bank really makes this list is because of its high yield savings account. On a day-to-day basis, it's not one of the best banks on this list. I think the secret to banking and banking well is not just banking at one establishment. If you want to bank well, you need to capitalize the benefits of one bank with another bank, or maybe even 3 or 4. So my exact banking procedure looks like I have a checking account at SoFi as well as a high yield savings account that gives me 4.6% APY. If I wanted, I could probably go to CIT and get a 5.05% APY on that savings account, but then I also use Schwab as my brokerage. And I also keep a small amount of cash in my Charles Schwab checking account, because if I want to withdraw money on a day-to-day basis, I can do that without any ATM fees, and there's no limits to that. Schwab is also a really great account to have for when you're traveling or abroad, because there's no transaction fees into foreign currencies. So when it comes to my overall best, I would actually say that SoFi and Schwab combined are what is the best. I think if you're simply looking for the best bank account, I think SoFi is probably going to be the best option for most people. If you want something physical to go to, I would either recommend a local credit union or Charles Schwab or Capital One. But like I said before, this is a decision that is individually based because different people have different things they're going to need. So take some time, do some research, and figure it out, and then transfer banks. I hope you guys got some value out of this video, and if you did, I'd appreciate if you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.